It's a gray and cold winter afternoon or early evening. It's about to get dark pretty soon. Quite suitable for the topic of today's video. So let's go for a drive and I'll update you guys. Welcome back to Living with a Classic, another episode of Daily Driving a Classic Weekly, where I daily drive a 1975 Jaguar XJ6 all days, all weather. You know, right now it's snow and very cold up here in Sweden. If you've been following along the channel for a while, you know that I picked this car up in 2019, December 2019, so it was a Christmas present for myself. First big project on this channel, and it had a blown head gasket. So went through that, replaced it, did a lot of other things, went through the carbs, a lot of cleaning up, tidying up, made the engine bay look nice. All that was documented here on the channel. Sadly, at the end of summer, I did notice that it was using coolant, and we did a test, and there was hydrocarbons or exhaust gases in the coolant system. So head came off again. We saw where it had leaked. Seemed there was a tiny bit of pitting in the head, but the machine shop said that should not really make a difference. The head was skimmed though at that point, even though it was perfectly straight before. And if you know these cars, it is a aluminum cylinder head and a cast iron block. I went through a lot of ideas at the time where it blew the second time. Was thinking, all right, should I fix this like in this way again, with just putting another gasket on, skimming the head? And it was, you know, a weekend's work or so, and it was very cheap, about, you know, $200, where about half of that was the machine cost of skimming it. And I did that because the thing is, it could have been another thing as well. It could have been a crack in the block, and if that was the case, I mean, I would have had to take the whole engine apart out of the car, taken the block over to the machine shop. They'd have to check it, and you know, if it was damaged, then that would be a waste of money because I have to find another engine anyway. So I decided not to do that and go that route, knowing that a failure could happen again. I did have the cylinder head tested, and there were no cracks in that, so that was all good at least. So I guess you guys have probably already guessed what has happened, and it happened, I found out about it earlier today. The head gasket or something like that has gone again on this car, sadly. We've got this car over here. People are coming home from work. It's quite narrow roads up here where I live. So yeah, something has happened to the head gasket again. I don't exactly know what, but I'm guessing it's the same thing before. And my guess, it's probably a crack in the block since we've checked everything else. I noticed it about a week ago that I was losing a little bit of coolant, or actually quite a bit. I had to fill up about 1.5 liters of coolant, and I initially thought that, oh, it's the cap up front, because that thing was leaking a little bit. There are two caps on this engine. There's a flat one up top, and then there's a pressure cap, and the flat one was leaking a little bit. So I tweaked on that a little bit, got it to not leak anymore. I did order a new one, which actually arrived in the mail yesterday. And I thought, okay, it must have been leaking out from there, and maybe it wasn't filled correctly before. So that's just what I thought about it. And I went on driving, and about yesterday, when I was in the middle of a city center, I sort of felt that, you know what, it's running a little lumpy. Something is going on. I'm gonna, you know, have to check over the carburetors a little bit later. But it was also smoking quite a bit. But I thought, okay, I've just been doing shorter trips, must be condensation. So I drove for quite a long time at high speeds. Even when I got home, it was still, you know, smoking a tiny bit, which it really shouldn't be. So then I was thinking, all right, well, it's probably not. You know, you're always trying to think that it is not head gaskets. And so today I bit the bullet and I tested it. So here is just a short little video clip of that I filmed earlier. And as you can see, the liquid turned yellow. So that liquid is initially blue. If it indicates any exhaust gases in the coolant, it turns yellow. And it most certainly did turn yellow. It took quite a while. I mean, I'm not seeing any massive bubbles in the coolant. I saw some bubbles in the coolant when I filled it up when I started it right away. That's when I started investigating it. So I I sort of saw that there was almost a plume of exhaust coming out of there, but I don't know, so maybe it sort of tightens up a little bit as it warms up. I do not know. It's thankfully still, you know, running fine, and today I do have to go and pick up my daughter. So there's my wife's working late, so I have to do that, but it's only about a 10-minute drive, and I filled up the coolant, so it should be, you know, fine. Also, I can't really hurt it anymore. I mean, it's definitely damaged, this engine. Now really on to what is the next thing, what's going to happen. And well, there are a couple things, you know, like what now. So what happens to this video series is sort of, you know, my first thing I want to address. I really want to continue this daily driving at classic video series, because even if I don't drive this car, I will need to probably drive some classic. I haven't planned on picking up a new car or anything else, or a different car. I don't commute to work at the moment. I only drive really short distances to drop off my daughter at daycare and pick her up the days where my wife works late. My wife drives the Range Rover, which I just fixed for her. She's very, very happy with that. And yeah, so the initial candidate would be the Daimler, because there's really not that much to do on it. The wheels that are on this car, these great studded winter tires, actually come off that Daimler, so I know I have good tires for it. I have some stuff I have to fix with the heat and a few other things, and a little bit of leak up there, but I mean, the heat works, it's just the fans only work on high, so I mean, I can kind of live with that for a while. I'm still trying to source the parts for the fans. The leak up front is really just probably 3 or 4 hours to fix that, so not really an issue at all. And after that, it needs to go for an MOT. I don't think it's going to fail. I don't really think that there is anything particularly wrong with it. Everything else seems to be fine. So that is probably what I'm going to be daily driving. So I'm sort of wondering, do you guys want me to continue the daily driving and classic series, but featuring a different car, featuring then the Daimler, at least now for winter, and then maybe as soon as spring comes around, I'll get the V12 all going, the 1977 XJ12, because I have thought about using that car more. Even if there won't be any car shows, I'll have to use it for my, you know, small little commute here and going to pick up my daughter, just so I actually end up using it. So maybe I'll have, you know, different cars that will go through as daily drivers, and maybe I should continue this series. Please let me know in the comments down below if that's something that you want me to, or if I should put this series on a pause until I fix this car, because I do want to fix it. I'm not going to get rid of it, so don't worry about that. I'm not planning on selling it at the moment, because it seems to be the most popular car on the channel. The videos on this car are really the most popular ones, so it's almost a little bit of the mascot for the channel, so I can't sell it. However, it does need an engine, and I'm not going to rebuild this one, I think, because most likely the block is damaged somehow, and even if it's not, I mean, it would probably have to be rebored. It would probably, you know, it would need everything, which of course I can do, but it's quite a bit of money, and it would be quite time consuming. I do have some other projects on the channel, so I think I'm going to look for a good used engine. I do have 2 leads at the moment. I have a someone who's actually an Instagram friend who we followed each other for years. We've actually never met, but I know that last time this happened, he reached out to me and he said he had a Series 3 4.2 complete with transmission and complete with the whole fuel injection system as well. And that's a little tempting, because that could be a fun upgrade for this car, because I mean, I'm using it daily. It hasn't been any issue with the carbs, but fuel injection could be a cool thing, and maybe to work on a standalone fuel injection system for that, something I've never touched before, but that could be, you know, a cool thing to learn about. And then I have a good friend of the channel who has a classic British car shop, and I know that they have a Series 2 XJ, but a 3.4 in good shape, that's been pulled out of a low mileage car that they have evidence of it. It ran when they put on the pallets, had good oil pressure, wasn't making any weird noises. So that's not really my favorite option, but that is also an option, because well, I've heard really good things about the 3.4, that it's not a bad engine. And I mean, I'm not, you know, this is not, I mean, I'm not saying it's a slow car, but I don't have a 70s straight six Jag because it's a speedy, fast car, because it's a nice, comfortable car. I have the V12 if I want to go fast, and even that is, I mean, it's fast for what it is, but compared to modern cars, it is, you know, not that fast. So maybe that's an option, or maybe I can find another engine somehow. I know you guys over in the States watching are going to be like, oh, just put a, you know, a Chevy V8 in it. Even if I would like to do that, which is not something I would like to do, I think a Jaguar should have a Jag engine. Just my opinion. It's not like I live in a country where you have Chevy V8s all over, so that would be probably even more expensive getting a hold of one of those. And then some of you guys are thinking, all right, we'll put in a more modern Jag engine to do an engine swap. Well, first of all, that is a massive, massive undertaking, doing an engine swap with an engine that, you know, is not meant for this car. And also it would be, it's difficult legally where I live, because the car would have to be re-registered, and then you probably have to upgrade brakes and things if the, you know, engine is newer and more powerful, and there'd be emission stuff. And no, so it would have to be basically the same engine that goes into it. It's the next day, and during the morning we've had a freak through snow and ice storm, so I'm going to try and move the car probably for one of the last times. Just, if I can get out of here, just around the house, put it down into the storage where it will sit for a while probably. See if I can even get out of here. Let's see, this could be difficult. Alright, I think we're going to do a Jeremy Clarkson speed and power. Gonna try this because I want to get this thing, you know, inside, and then I also want to have a chance to get the tires off this car, because these winter tires do fit the XJ40, and we're doing the speed and power route. Let's see how this goes. Sorry about the fogging up, can't do much about that, but we have made it into the storage unit. We made it in here. It's next to the Daimler. You can see it's smoking pretty badly. It's a lot worse than it was just a few days ago, so I'm not going to be driving it anymore. That drive yesterday was the last drive for this car with this engine. The sad thing is though that it does run nicely. Starts first time all the time, doesn't get hot, but it uses coolant. Oh wow, we did plow through some snow. Check that out. Well, it's all gonna melt away anyway, it doesn't matter, but that was some deep snow. I think speed and power was the solution, but let me turn this thing off. Alright, so there we go. It's more like it, nice and quiet. Now you can hear me better. But the next day, like I said, and I slept on it, and I realized that yes, I like this car. Of course, I love it. I'm gonna fix it. Don't know when it's gonna happen though. It's going to need another engine. I have to source one. Don't know how easy it's gonna be, or if the people who still had engines about 6 months ago still have them, or what condition they're in. Usually I'm not really a fan of pulling anything into a workshop like this, or it's just a storage unit if it's covered in snow, but once it melts a little bit, I'm gonna get a broom, try and brush it out of here, and then it's supposed to be nicer weather in about a week or so, and then I can air all this out and get all this out of here, so it's not gonna be a big issue. And here the Daimler sits. So there are a few things that need to be done on this car. This will be what I will be driving. First thing, can't drive on these tires. They're very, very old, and they're summer tires. So we're gonna put those winter tires there. They actually came with this car, so they will fit. And they were on the car when I got it, so I know that they fit, and now I know that they're really good winter tires. So they will go on the Daimler. Under here, we will fix a couple of things. There is a leak up front. The pump for the self-leveling rear suspension has been deleted, which is a common thing on these cars, that you delete that. It has the regular springs in the back. So I'm going to remove the pump since it's leaking, get that out of the way. Then there are really no leaks on this car. I did plan on replacing the coolant hoses. I mean, none of them are leaking or, brittle or anything. They just look old. I do have a whole set. Probably not going to have time to do that right now, but just need to get it on the road. I'm still trying to find the parts I need for the fans. So all of that is still taken apart. Fan works, one of them works on high, so I'll have to put everything back together, run it like that. For now, till I get the parts, and then that can be a weekend job to fix that. Other than that, I think it's just some bulb or something somewhere, and that is, I think one number plate bulb was out or something. But other than that, this thing should be ready for an MOT, and then hopefully it will be out on the road. The nice thing about it now it is 30 years old, so when I MOT it now, that will last for 2 years because it's a classic car now in the eyes of the government. So that is a good thing. But here sits the poor old XJ6. But it's not the end of the road. Still have a lot more adventures left with this car. It just, it needs another engine. That's it for this video, and I want to thank everyone who watches, who likes, who comments on these videos. It's thanks to your support that I keep on making these videos, and I will continue, fighting in this car. I will get it to run right. The sad thing is that when, the head gasket is new on it, and before, I think there's a crack somewhere in the block that it moves and causes the gaskets to leak. Before that happens, it runs beautifully. It's very smooth, has lots of power. And you can suddenly feel from one day to the next, the second time it happened now, you feel it's an absolute pig. It loses power. It's not running right. It runs right sometimes. It feels like it sort of doesn't leak all the time. So right now it's running pretty nicely, but yesterday it was not running nicely when I got home. It was misfiring and stuttering. So yeah, it definitely needs a new engine. But thank you so much for all your support. I also want to thank all my supporters over on Patreon for their continued support. It really means a lot, and it will definitely help in order to hopefully try and find another engine. I really, really hope I can find one. They're not as common here as they are, of course, over in the UK, but also international shipment at the moment is crazy expensive due to the pandemic, so I don't think that's an option. Getting it has to be pretty local that I can go and get it with a car and trailer. Anyways, if you like this video and you want me to continue, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. It really does help out a lot. Anyways, until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.